heading into a very pivotal time here where advertisers and publishers alike both looking for data about how they're surfacing, where they're surfacing, and why, and then how we can sort of reward each other in this mutually beneficial relationship to sort of keep things going the way that we want them to, where we can all thrive.
It's not all doom and gloom, right? Well, Hunter, thanks so much for coming on the Partnership Economy podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you on here, and I think everyone's going to be really excited to hear what you have to say, because what we're going to talk about today is kind of top of mind for a lot of people in the industry. I think it would be nice to kind of hear CNN's perspective on some of the challenges and opportunities.
Honestly, looking forward to a great conversation. I know there's a lot of things here that folks would love to hear a little bit more about, and I hope I can provide a little bit of context from the perspective of a mass media publisher.
So let's kind of, I guess, start with probably the biggest topic that's everyone's talking about, and that's kind of just the role of AI, LLMs that our consumers are starting to use as their search engines and to learn about products. And the controversy there is that all the answers that we get from the chat GPTs of the world are informed by content, such as the content that CNN produces. And so the consequences of that is you're not getting that traffic like you used to from more organic or even paid search. So I guess I just want to understand how much that's affecting you, and what you guys think about it, and I guess what some of the things you're doing about it, because obviously you're not just going to sit around and see how it shakes out.
There's no ignoring it anymore. I do feel like perhaps rewind 12 months, a year ago, on the affiliate conference circuit, the big buzzword was AI and what's going to happen and how's it going to impact the affiliate space and both publisher and affiliate budgets and models. I think this year on that same conference circuit, it's not what's going to happen, it's what is already happening and how are we sort of dealing with those impacts. We're actually seeing a rise in total searches. So if you look at it through that lens, it's like, okay, great. There's more people searching for things. That gives me, as a publisher, potentially an opportunity to get in front of those people. And it's a whole new platform, essentially, to optimize for. So perhaps look at it as another channel. Now, to state the obvious there, okay, great, more searches, but is everyone interacting with those searches in the same way? And I think the thing we hear a lot about is zero click. No clicks means no traffic. So that's the big question now.
To clarify, I mean, you guys have multiple ways that you monetize CNN. The affiliate version of that is that you guys do listicles, product recommendations, product reviews, and those have affiliate links in them so that when consumers learn about, the best vacuum or the best chef knife, they're going to figure out which is the right one for them, click on that link, and you guys would earn, the proverbial rev share or commission on that. What other ways are you guys monetizing your traffic to kind of maximize the traffic that you have?
I think the very creation of CNN underscored itself was a way to create this diversified revenue stream. And so now it's funny to kind of come full circle where we're living in an age where, okay, that was great at diversifying our revenue, for the last however many years, but now we need to diversify revenue within the revenue. That's sort of the environment that we find ourselves in. And of course, from affiliate and display to, traditional advertising, those are all certainly areas that we have historically monetized. And as we look at the greater CNN business too, we know that there's a need to move towards subscription and become more premium in the content that we're providing our audiences. And that trickles right down into CNN underscored in the sense of how can we continue to create better content, high quality content, and add more value for users so that they come back to us. AI and these LLMs, they still need quality content, and we're here to provide that quality content. If our end goal is how do we get compensated for content? Well, step one for that is to rank and be cited by these LLMs. Step two is sort of the missing link, both figuratively and literally, I think, where we're trying to connect our being surfaced through LLMs to monetizing our quality content.
You recently introduced the paywall, the subscription model, right? And is that all of CNN, or is CNN underscored still kind of a you can get there for free?
Yep, exactly. So, we're always open to experimenting and following the data of what our readers most want, and it starts at the top of the organization, and we're going to continue to follow those trends and see where it makes the most sense in the face of some potentially declining traffic. We've created a few different in-house solutions that we think are solving for that. We launched back in early September what's called our product finder. And so this is essentially a new search tool that exists on Underscored, and it's sort of like a step above a traditional search bar. What it does is it hooks into our product database, which we've been building again over the last several years. This immense database of all of the different products that we've ever included within our editorial content. And through AI, when someone searches for a very specific query or conversational query like Mother's Day gifts, what's going to happen is through the LLM that we leverage, as well as the product database that it's hooking into, it's going to surface to that user who searched for Mother's Day gifts a bunch of different products that are directly relevant to their search of Mother's Day gifts. So whether that's flowers and chocolates or maybe shoes and handbags, you're going to get a list of those editorially vetted products surfaced right to you. And so in the face of this, traffic challenge, what we're saying is, okay, we can't really solve immediately for this major ecosystem challenge that we're seeing out there. But in the interim, what we can do is take control over what we have control over, and that is the people that are continuing to come to our site. And so with this product finder, it's been very encouraging so far. Since its launch, we've actually seen that the click-through rates are 80% higher than the click-through rates of our organic content, and the average item values are 50% higher. So we had this hypothesis that perhaps this adds value, and this data shows us that it is adding value for our readers and for us, who monetizes off of these affiliate conversions.
A lot of what you see in the LLMs, don't really have links out. They give you the answer, they might cite the sources, but they don't really give you a way, then you have to go and find the product or uh, do another search, more in a search engine. So I think for you guys, it's a much cleaner experience to the consumer.
Through search, traditional search means you're typically dealing with a high intent audience. This is someone who knows what they're looking for, and they need just that extra little bit of motivation or information to make that decision. That's where Product Finder, I think, really creates a lot of value because we don't have to guess as much anymore on what you might be inspired by as a reader. You actually tell us what you're looking for, just like it would work through traditional search. And then, we as that publisher with this tool will provide you with the answers and give you some of those thoughts or recommendations for what you're interested in. So again, yeah, pulling that search environment into our own digital property and finding value with it.
Well, it seems too, there's a lot of opportunity for personalization because if everything's behind a paywall, you've got logged in users. So now when you do display ads or you do display search results, you can over time learn what I'm interested in more and have I would imagine even better performance on the CPM display ads that I'm seeing because they're more relevant to me, as well as, even to the point of retargeting, right? Like, hey, I just was looking at blenders and now there's some good blender ads in front of me as well. Like, I think that would be something that either allows you to charge higher CPM rates or engages brands more. Like they want to spend the money there because they know you're able to target based on logged in users, which is kind of first party data is the holy grail of ad targeting, which essentially went away with the deprecation or the near deprecation of cookies, in the sense of third party cookies. You can't get those impressions right anymore with retargeting if you don't have, if third party cookies are not a viable.
If anything, the development of AI, or the policy shifts through search engines have forced publishers to do is really look within, look into our own toolboxes. What are some of the things that maybe we have at our own disposal that were perhaps underutilized, or maybe not focused on enough? And I think there's a lot of opportunity that can come from that. And, yeah, hopefully you can keep that spirit alive and well over here, of course.
Yeah, and as you know, in the affiliate space, it's all about personal relationships and discussions. And like you said, with your product finder, I mean, the increased performance in that alone has got to be a very good selling point, right? If you want your results to show up in here, you're going to get more value out of it as a brand because the consumer's getting more value out of it.
Yeah, and that's another benefit from, creating these new solutions, and from sort of focusing in on owned and operated things. Like, it's not just good for us. Let's figure out a way now to take it to the next step. And how does that help our merchant partners, or our network partners, or whoever it might be, where we can all continue to grow our businesses together in a way that's productive and meaningful, alongside all these other, external environmental changes that we're dealing with. And I think those are exactly the kind of conversations that we're having today with our partners. And I hope, in part, maybe this conversation with you, Todd, is something that continues to spark that curiosity amongst all of us to figure out new ways of growing our programs.
You're getting less of that free traffic, the organic traffic. Now you have to probably lean in on a little bit more paid search to guarantee that you're offsetting some traffic. What else are you doing to increase traffic?
Yeah, I think paid's a huge area of growth for us, where we can lean into SEM as well as paid social, and to see the different strategies to deploy to each has been really interesting over these last couple years. We might see that deals content is seeing a lot of strong performance through a social medium, whereas something that's more review based and evergreen, like the lawnmower or blender content that we were talking about, that performs a lot better through paid search. And so we start to get into this zone of balancing what's working and where, and we have a lot of different types of content that we can use. Now, those are all off platform, I would consider, and we definitely have our organic social efforts as well that we see as a huge referral source. And how do we uh, leverage video more? So how can we get to these different types of audiences through the mediums that they prefer the most, whether that's short form social content, or maybe it's longer form review content on something like YouTube. And that's off platform. There's always going to be that question of, how much control over that do we have? We'll continue to leverage that. But when we look at owned and operated, I think that's perhaps a publisher's greatest strength in today's environment is its own reader base, its own environment. So I think what we're doing there is, obviously, we have a very strong homepage audience in CNN, and we're very fortunate at CNN underscored to be able to have to be able to secure homepage placements, as well as mobile app inclusions where we can feature our content. and then continuing to grow things like our newsletter across the organization, and just finding these new types of placements that we can drive. And as CNN has this premium content offering, we're there to help complement it through service journalism and lifestyle content that CNN underscored provides. So it's a nice tie-in too, where you have advertisers who want a part of that.
When you were talking about video earlier, is CNN underscore doing video as well as part of their
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
are you getting interest in brands wanting to use that content? So like UCG, right, user generated content, UGC?
First step is following the editorial calendar and what our content is. So when I talk about what we're doing with video on CNN underscored, we are, of course, doing our diligence in a certain product review. And then we're having a team come in-house that's shooting this video of, our editors hands-on with these various products, testing them, speaking to the camera about things that they liked, that they didn't like, how things might have done in a durability test. And for what it's worth, I think in video, you really like we can talk about the testing that we do through content, but it speaks volumes when you can show one of our editors jumping up and down on a beach wagon that we're testing to try to break it as a means of showing how durable it is. And so, we're shooting all this great video content, both long form and short form, attaching it to those reviews so that if you want to see that editor jumping up and down on that beach wagon, you can also read about it. It's all created, of course, by us. I think your question was perhaps around, user generated content. I believe, and we aren't doing anything with UGC at this point in time. It's strictly from the perspective of our editors.
I just could imagine, like, if I were a brand, I'd wanna embed, on the page of the product, your review, if it's a short form or even a long form video, 'cause you see that on a lot of retailers, that you'll scroll down and suddenly there's a lot of times it's third party, a creator, which you guys are creators, right? More so than anybody. That's all you do is create. So, it just adds credibility that somebody else is talking about a product or service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just seems
And
like a possibility to further monetize. Like if a brand's like, I love it. Can I use it? Yeah, you have to pay though. Have you guys looked at or tested in increasing, new monetization opportunities?
I just still think there's so much merit in the basic optimizations and affiliate process. And that's absolutely something that we're going to be, or that we have been continuing to iterate on, with affiliate being our core monetization tactic. And so, what I mean is like, let's get in there into content. How can we improve click through rates and conversion rates? Perhaps through making adjustments within the content itself around the retailers and merchants that we're linking out to, as well as some of the attribution models. Affiliate has long been about last click attribution, and I think with everything that's gone on, there's more conversation around first click and even multi-touch attribution. And now, while I haven't seen necessarily widespread adoption of those models, I feel like we're talking about it more than we have in previous years. Pivoting into this second opportunity of monetization, what we're exploring right now is how we could add native ads within our content. So something where you are implementing contextually related ads to an article on best lawnmowers. Maybe we can show products from a home improvement retailer and adequately be able to increase share of voice for that given merchant simply by this new native ad format that we would monetize on a CPC.
One thing that you guys are very fortunate to have is more demand than supply, right? I mean, I remember probably 3 or 4 years ago hearing several content publishers like yourself saying, we get 40 inquiries a day or some insane number, 400 a week or something. Brands that just wish they could be in your content, because they know how valuable it is to the consumer in making an informed decision. And I think, as you just mentioned, adding the ability to have brands be able to get into existing content. Maybe they aren't in that listicle on the lawnmowers, but they wish they were, or they're related, as you said. It would be a good fit. They have an ancillary, you know, adjacent product or service, um, and they want to be in that, like you said, contextually. I think the demand for that is just probably as strong as just having the content written, because there's so much content already, and you're just able to further monetize it.
We're partnered with so many different affiliate merchants, but at the end of the day, the editorial team is only writing about a handful at a time. And so we simply, can't have every merchant in every article. It wouldn't make sense. But what we can do with this new ad format is give a merchant an opportunity to have that feature appear. And obviously, we have the necessary disclosures in there, so it's not necessarily an organic pick of our editorial team, but like you said, it's a related pick that's being surfaced. And so I think that's again where publishers are being pushed to think a little bit more creatively of how they can further maximize the value that they're getting from the page views that are still coming through to them. The budgets that are pouring into, retail media, they're skyrocketing. I think because one, there's so much value there, and there's the little bit of the performance element to it. But the challenge or the problem, and this is a good problem, it's that these, traditional retail media in the sense of it is someone like a Walmart advertising on their pages. There's so much demand, but they only have so many placements that they can advertise for. And so what happens is you have these budgets in retail media that are skyrocketing, but then you have advertisers, traditional retailers who can only take so much. So it's having this spillover effect and coming back into the publisher ecosystem where, someone like myself here at CNN, we now have an opportunity to potentially win some of that budget and find new opportunities. So I think it's been really great. I think it's definitely, it only seems like things are going to continue to grow there. And now it's a matter of publishers sort of adjusting so that they can fulfill these retail media budgets. Oh, okay, retailer X just doesn't have enough placements. I've got tons of placements. Like, come on over here and let's figure out how we could make something beneficial.
Well, and even the brands that get those, vendor marketing funds, they could be spending that, if they on your site as well, right? Because they're just driving the traffic back to themselves, and they're spending it, and they can package it on their end, or the manufacturer can come to you guys and buy direct. So you've got kind of two ways to capture those dollars. It's a very, very compelling uh, package deal, right? That you could put together, because you've got impression-based ads, you've got CPC-based ads, you've got performance-based ads, and there's a way to place that, and you've got multiple vehicles, like you said. You've got social, you've got your own even paid search ads, where you could be spending it on behalf of a brand or a manufacturer to send it back to an article, to send it back to the brand. I mean, there's just, when you really start to unpack this, there's just so much you guys could be doing. Email as well. I mean, it's just a lot of great opportunities here.
And there you have it, Todd. We've come full circle. The diversification within the diversification. What started, 8-9 years ago as affiliate is this new revenue stream to help diversify away from ad revenue. Now affiliate is being used. CNN underscored our affiliate driven site is being used in new ways through these CPM and CPC and things that you've mentioned there. So yeah, I think everything's fair game. It's a matter of how you can work it out.
It's really interesting how this all comes back to kind of this external threat of taking traffic away, causing, concern, obviously, with your current monetization models. And then you suddenly have, in my opinion, a much more robust solution for brands and manufacturers because of the rich content of CNN underscored. You have this essentially, in my opinion, something more valuable almost than a retail media play because yes, okay, they're on the site and it's one click away from adding to cart. So they have that advantage. But the content that you guys have is far more valuable from the consumer's perspective in making that informed decision. And even your product search is playing that, you know, clearly demonstrating that by the engagement level and the increased performance.
One of the maybe cliffhangers that we left at the beginning of this conversation, as we pivoted into what we're doing internally here, but it's like, what is the future of the monetization through LLMs for advertisers and publishers? And spoiler alert, I don't have an answer today, but I have some like thoughts, and I've heard a lot of smart people and great people in this industry who are also thinking about this too. And there's the thought of, can we get paid on a cost per query or citation? Maybe there's licensing deals to be had, of course, or perhaps some sort of flat fee arrangement. Again, all speculation, but I think we're heading into a very pivotal time here where advertisers and publishers alike are both looking for data about how they're surfacing, where they're surfacing, and why, and then how we can sort of reward each other in this mutually beneficial relationship to sort of keep things going the way that we want them to, where we can all drive.
It's not all doom and gloom, right? I mean, there's a lot of unknown. Things are happening fast. Things are changing, but at least based on our conversation, it seems like it's opened up a lot more opportunities to provide more value, which is really the whole focus. I mean, yes, diversify income and increase income, but it's about creating value that brings consumers back to you guys versus somewhere else. Because again, I think there's no more valuable content than what content sites. So this whole, content commerce and creators, because it's an independent third party opinion. I like this. I went out and bought it myself. I think it's great. Here's why. Or a very thorough testing or listicle gift guides, things like that just get me from point A to point B quicker and more informed. I've never talked to a brand that doesn't value that content more than any other type of ad they could buy. And the problem is there's not unlimited inventory. When it comes to CPM, maybe, yeah, it's unlimited to a degree, but it'll fulfill your budget. But nobody can get enough of this because this content has to be created. So I think you guys are in a great position, and it seems like a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Here,
Whatever you're looking for, quality content is king, and I think that those those publishers who continue to put out that quality content should find ways to be rewarded for it, and work with merchants alike to make sure that there is that continuous cycle of great content, great products being developed by retailers, and ultimately consumers who walk away happy because they got a good recommendation on a great product and it made their life a little bit better. And hopefully, that's what we're here to do.
Well, Hunter, I appreciate you kind of opening the kimono and letting us see what you guys have been up to and what you're thinking about. I think it's, like I said, it's hopeful. It feels good. It feels like you guys are making some great, smart decisions, and I'm excited to see how all of this continues to perform and grow for you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Todd. Again, I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again.